I set the microwaved cup of instant coffee down on the table so hard that it sloshes. He looks at me with guarded eyes. Despite trying to stay positive, this is not exactly an ideal start. Working with refugees seeking asylum in the U.S. has taught me that trust is not easily won, and nor should it be. For someone who has lost so much to tell you the stories of their lives, it requires the willingness to try establishing a connection over and over again. David, you need a root canal due to the deterioration of your teeth. I explain the procedure to him and its importance to his health, but he shakes his head vigorously at me to make me understand. No, they will sell my teeth to the government. They will use it to frame me for a crime I didn't commit. David's fears are far from unfounded. His deep mistrust of the medical system is born from experiences in his home country, where the government would arrest people for crimes they didn't commit, and medical providers would turn over patients to the police. His misinformed beliefs are rooted in conversations with other refugees who have warned him that people may pretend to help him only to send him back to his home country. He has little reason to trust me after a few hours of meeting over the past few weeks. My eyes settle on his knuckles glowing white as he clutches the styrofoam coffee cup. I soften my voice. David, I know it is scary. This procedure is completely safe. All they will do is... He cuts me off, exclaiming in frustration, "No, I already told you I don't want it." Instead of immediately responding, I take a moment. My mind drifts to my niece, remembering her eyes brimming over with tears as she told us that she didn't want to go to the dentist because she was afraid it would hurt. We showed her a YouTube video explaining what each of the tools did until her tears subsided. Maybe combating misinformation isn't just about the information itself, but finding the best way to communicate it to another person. I pull up a video on YouTube explaining David's procedure. I watch as his tense shoulders relax, settling into gentle curves just as the frown on his lips settles. I ask, a little too cheerfully, "So, what do you think?" He looks at me for a moment. He is still unsure, but I can see his grip on the coffee cup loosening. I allow myself a moment to hope. Not today, I think. David hitches the jacket over his shoulder as he prepares to leave the appointment. I feel the familiar stone of disappointment settle in my stomach as I shuffle the stack of papers stained with coffee. David pauses at the door before he leaves. "Next week?" he asks. "Next week we can watch the video again?" I smile wider, nod. "We can watch the video again next week. Maybe I'll even write a song to convince you." David nods back at me. Not exactly a smile, but an affirmation that we will try again next week, and the week after, and as many weeks as he will allow me try to earn his trust. And now, I wish I could tell you that the story ended with a clear success, but David and I are still working on him getting the procedure. We continue showing up week after week, trying to meet each other in the middle. Misinformation is a door that offers a peek into the corners of another person's mind. Although these conversations may be fraught with tension and disagreement, they're also an opportunity to understand more deeply. Building trust is a series of small steps that doesn't always arrive at a clear solution. Although these appointments may not always have the outcome that I hope for, they're just as valuable as ones where mutual trust comes easily. I believe the most difficult piece is accepting that agreement is not always promised. My first months of medical school were energized with the idealism that I could win over every patient. Now I have a more subdued approach. I sit beside the patient. I listen without judgment. I wonder about the amalgamation of life experiences that have led them to their ingrained beliefs, value systems, and this very conversation. I do not pretend to have all the answers. Perhaps this is ultimately what draws us together. Even at odds, reaching out across a vast divide, we can all acknowledge that we are just doing our best to find meaning amidst the messy beats of life. So that even if our conversation doesn't end with agreement, a handshake, or a root canal, there is a promise to keep reaching across the divide, listening and sharing stories over a lukewarm cup of coffee.